My name is Kenneth Oyalla. I'm the head of mobile phones marketing activation. It's a global role that's based out of London.
Kenneth, there's 15 or so phones in the Nokia handset range. What are the different things that distinguish the range now?
Talking about mobile phones, we've got phones really at the entry which are targeted at consumers we'd almost see the bottom end of the pyramid, which are basically phones that cater for voice. And as you go up, you start adding features and you cater for different consumer lifestyles. So we've got fast and feature devices. Then we start getting into the smartphone space where we got the range of Asha devices, which are real smartphones in every way with cloud capability. You're able to browse the internet, and you've got apps also in there. So that range covers for different consumer needs across from almost $20 all the way to $99.
And how many phones are in the range, and how many are connected to data?
So today we have a total of up to 24 phones within this range. Of those, I'd want to think the majority of them, which is I would put it's only just about 5 or 6 that are not connected to the internet, but the rest of them are connected to the internet.
And so the feature phone range is called Asha. Show me one of those and tell me why it's a feature phone.
So this is a feature phone. This is not Asha is not a feature phone. Asha is a smart device. Is a smartphone. This is a feature phone, which is the Nokia 208. It has got internet capability. And you are able to do quite a lot of things. So for making phone calls, you've got apps which are really sought after, like WhatsApp, and you got YouTube already preloaded on this. So with a phone as this, which is an ITUT device, you can still be able to do a lot of the internet browsing and all.
And what's the difference between the Asha smartphones and the Lumia smartphones?
So we look at consumers having different needs. From a price point perspective, you will notice that most of our Asha devices are below $99 US price point. And these are consumers who would want to stretch their dollar much further. So we build phones which are really optimized with that in mind, while still trying to give them really good features. Yet while you look at the Lumia range of devices, that's really the high-end consumers who are not constrained by cost, and who are literally looking for kind of like a Rolls-Royce experience, for which we put in all the latest leading innovation like optical image stabilization like you see in the Lumia 1020.
And what's the price range in the Lumia range?
For now, the Lumia range is you'd find just slightly over 100 US dollars, and it goes all the way to 600-700 US dollars.
So almost all of these phones are now connected to data. What impact has that had on data use in the African and Middle East markets?
We have seen, thinking about within 1 year of just slightly over 1 year of the Asha range starting in June 2012, we now have up to 3.4 billion downloads which have happened on the Asha of these Asha devices, and this is happening in such a short time. And of course, downloads drives data, and it's not just that. You start having videos and a couple other things which now you're able to access off these devices.
And this is happening not just in the Middle East, it's also happening in Africa, isn't it?
Yes, it's happening in the Middle East, it's happening in Africa, it's happening in what we call high growth economies, which cut across from Latin America all the way to APAC, but also predominantly in Africa.
So what are the things people are downloading?
What's interesting is when you start looking at the kind of apps that people are downloading, I think you've got apps like WhatsApp, which is one of the very popular apps, and you can get it on the Asha devices. You've got apps like Line, you've got apps like Nimbus. You also have different news apps depending on the market that consumers are downloading, and they're able to read and access the news of the internet.
You're from Kenya. What are the things that are particularly popular in the local market there?
From Kenya, I think one of the biggest ones has been this M3 router, which you know the traffic situation in Kenya, whereby
Particularly in Nairobi.
Particularly in Nairobi. So it enables you to anticipate the traffic. You've got a couple of games, and some of the games which we have offered to consumers, part of the 40 free EA games that we've been offering this year. Consumers are downloading that and they're able to play that off their Asha smartphones. And I think also thirdly, news is also a big thing. So a couple of news apps you'll find consumers accessing and downloading and using of the Asha range of devices.
And the games, are those locally developed games or those international games?
They're international games, but there is also, actually it's also called Matri Racer. So it's literally, if you know the habits of matatu drivers in Africa, it's almost like you are having a duel at it, and you get on to get points depending on how your driving has been, and kind of elements of overlapping and learning to drive in the right way. So that has been a local game which has also proved very successful.
I think one thing that people are asking me over and over again is how are Nokia's handsets holding up in the current sales in the market? Obviously, there's been a rise in Samsung, in some markets a rise in iPhones. How are you holding up in terms of different ends of the market?
I believe the innovation that we have brought to this price point, and like we mentioned, within a space of just slightly over 1 year, and seeing the growth in terms of the numbers that we have had. So globally, we are looking at over 650 million devices which have been sold around this time, and most of these are really been sold in growth economies, Africa included. I want to think that there's a really high affinity for Nokia. It's a really well-known and trusted brand, and reason for that would be things which are really innate to Nokia, which is about the long battery life, the ruggedness of the devices that we make, which have continued to endear us to consumers through time, especially in Africa.
But coming down from the more general sales pitch, Nokia used to have 50% plus in some markets. Are you still holding your own there?
I want to think that we have some really robust shares across most of the markets. While we cannot go into specifics of what percentage shares that we have, but we want to think that we are happy with the progress that we are making in many of these markets.
And you're doing well at basic and feature phone level?
Both in basic and feature phone level, but you think about Asha, which is a smartphone, we have done considerably well in most of these markets.
So you're doing well with the budget range smartphone?
Yes, we're doing well with the budget range smartphones. But also, if you start thinking about the Lumia range, we have had some really good success with the devices like Lumia 520, which have gained really good acceptance in most of our African markets. Think about from South Africa into West Africa, Nigeria, parts of East Africa, and also in North Africa.